A legend once said, "There's no greater feeling than being a winner." And when I played Another Crab's Treasure, I felt like a winner. It was a quote by Kobe Bryant. Now, one thing that I like about this game is that it doesn't have an identity crisis. It knows exactly what it wants to be. It's a game that is a satire on, I guess, our modern day society. The plot is we dump our waste into the ocean, and these sea creatures then takes these trash as a new currency to introduce, I guess, like capitalism into their society. And then the main character house gets taken away by a loan shark, and then your goal is to acquire your house. You're just a loner who wants to be left alone, and the adventure grows as the character develops. Maybe they don't want to be left alone. It's like when an introvert finally goes out for the first time and start meeting new friends. It's like a whole new world for them. It's so interesting, the characters that you encounter and the way that the plot unfolds. Like, I obviously don't want to go into spoiler details, but the story made me laugh, and it actually makes you think about some critical issues in our world that's going on right now. And the ending was very brief, but it was enough to tie up the loose ends, and it actually hits you in the feels. All in all, I think the story and the characters in this game is fantastic. It's generally something that surprised me because I did not think that was going to be the highlight of the game for me. C&D's nuts. Got him. So let's talk about the combat. It's what you're going to be spending most of your time doing in this game. It's a Souls-like, but what differentiates it from the others is the shell mechanic, which is that you can equip a shell, and there's over 60 plus of them, and each of them gives you new abilities and new stats. And there's a lot of Easter eggs in this game as well. For instance, you can use the Amoonguss shell, and you can be Solaire as well. And something really cool that you can do is if you want to change the moveset or get a new quote-unquote new weapon, you just poke a shell with your fork and it'll become a hammer. So in this game, you get abilities as well. You get 8 different abilities that you can use, and most of the time you would just be shielding by hiding in your shell. That's easily the best defensive mechanic in the game, and then it just plays exactly like Souls-like. Except there's some really broken garbage out there that you can do. For instance, putting the bobbit trap or having like the tentacles, it trivializes the entire game. And if the game's too hard for you, you can have a gun. Yep, you can have a gun that just one-shots everything. In general, if you find the game too hard, there is a menu called the assist where you can just tweak the difficulties to your liking. So the boss fights in these games start off kind of difficult, but the moment you get builds going, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter what the boss can do because you're so broken beyond belief that everything just feels stupidly easy. And this game kind of suffers from that. But the boss sequences are very cool, and their movesets are pretty sick if you actually let the fight play out a bit longer than it does. The OST for the most part is okay, but then you'll suddenly get a banger like this. I don't know, it just something about this one is just so goofy, but at the same time it goes pretty damn hard. I do like the environments in this game. It does capture the underwater feel, especially when they introduce the deep ocean, and they really hammer it down on how it feels to be living in a very heavily polluted area. And there's some uniqueness to it because so many of the environments are built from the trash that we have dumped into the ocean. And the exploration is kind of like you have this grappling hook that can swing you into places that's hard to reach. It's kind of funny how you can't really like swim to everywhere you want to go, but it's more like just a hover for a few seconds. And that's the swimming in this game. Like Metroidvania games, you can revisit old areas once you get new abilities so that you can unlock previously blocked off zones. For instance, this purple cube, once you unlock the Mantis Punch, you can go back to this area, break it, and then you'll have a new area to explore that will unlock new upgrades for you. So let's talk about what I didn't like about this game. And what I think is genuinely bad is the performance. Just check this out. Yeah, it goes on for minutes and it's pretty much unacceptable for certain areas. And every time a new area loads or you progress in the middle of one big area to another, it always lags like this. I've been playing on the PS5, by the way. Maybe it's not an issue on PC, I don't know. They had a patch that fixed some of the areas, but for the most part the game does have these very unplayable laggy sections. I'm sure they'll fix it down the road, but as of this review, yeah. So by leaps and bounds, that's the only thing that I believe is objectively bad, and it only lasts a few seconds to a few minutes. So it's not the end of the world, but it is very frustrating when it happens. It's really hard to make a good Souls-like game, and the only one I really liked was Lies of P. And I can confidently say Another Crab's Treasure is a decent one. It's one that you can tell is made with a lot of passion. There's a lot of charm in this game. It's hard to explain other than you just trying it yourself. So I would fully recommend that you try it out on Game Pass or like the 2-hour refund window on Steam before you fully commit to the game. This is because the combat is what you do mostly of in this game, but I don't think it's varied and in-depth enough that I would say that everybody will find it to be fun. But honestly, for an indie game, this is really good stuff. Overall, I would give this game a rating of B+.
Sunrise and the sea, and although the years will change us and the sunshine will fade,